Take a trip across the country from Texas to California to Florida and take a look at the opulent estates and cozy homes that formerly serving presidents called home after leaving office. First, let's have a look at number 9. Former First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. The Kennedy compound is a 6-acre beachfront parcel that is noted for having 3 buildings on it. These houses are still in use today by various members of the Kennedy family. After that, Jackie owned several other residences, including a country house in Peapack, New Jersey, a beach house on Martha's Vineyard, and an apartment on the Upper East Side that overlooked the Central Park Reservoir, which was later renamed in her honor. In 2019, Jackie's daughter Caroline put the beach house on Martha's Vineyard up for sale for $65 million. My mother was young when she first visited Martha's Vineyard, and she fell in love with the island. Caroline noted in a statement to Christie's International Real Estate that when she saw Red Gate Farm, it was the perfect reflection of her romantic and adventurous character. In 1978, her mother had paid somewhere about $1 million for the piece of real estate. Number 8. President Lyndon Baines Johnson. A program that Johnson had been a proponent of since its inception resulted in magnificent space expeditions carried out by the country while he was in office. In December of 1968, 3 astronauts were able to complete an orbit around the moon. Johnson thanked the astronauts and said, "You've taken, all of us, all over the world into a new era." President Lyndon B. Johnson made it a point to consistently use his influence to combat segregation and advocate for law and order, but this did not result in an immediate solution. After he finished his term as president, Lyndon B. Johnson moved back to the ranch in Johnson City, Texas, where he was born with his wife, Lady Bird. On the land, which is now occupied by a museum, he was laid to rest. Number 7. President Richard M. Nixon. After Richard Nixon resigned as president in 1974, he and his wife Pat moved into their 15,000 square foot mansion in San Clemente, California, where he went on to write his memoirs. The home is located in the same neighborhood as where Nixon was shot in the Watergate scandal. The one-of-a-kind compound has 9 bedrooms and 14 bathrooms, and it has living areas that are shaped like octagons and have enormous windows. In 2019, it was placed on the market with a price tag of $57.5 million. Number 6. President Jimmy Carter. The 96-year-old former president of the United States is moving back into the home he occupied before moving into the White House, which he constructed in 1961. Both Carter and his wife, Rosalind, were raised in Plains, Georgia, and they continue to make their home there, where they maintain a low-key routine while devoting themselves to philanthropic and charitable endeavors in the modest 2-bedroom rancher they purchased for $167,000. No matter where life has taken me, from the governor's mansion to the White House, Plains has always been my home, Carter stated in December after several local historic sites associated with him were officially declared a national park. This statement was made after the national park designation was given to a number of the local historic structures. Rosalind joins me in thanking Senator Perdue, Congressman Bishop, and the Georgia delegation for helping preserve my family's legacy. Number 5. The White House in Kalorama, Washington, District of Columbia. In an interview that aired a month ago, President Obama provided the same description of himself to Jimmy Kimmel when they were talking about his intentions to continue living in the Washington, D.C. area when he leaves office. "Come on, Obama, you know that after that drop the Mick act, you'll always be the coolest guy in the room." To be more exact, the Obama family will unpack their belongings in the neighborhood of Kalorama, which is only 3 kilometers away from the White House. Woodrow Wilson, William Howard Taft, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Warren G. Harding, and Herbert Hoover are some examples of former presidents who resided in this prestigious neighborhood both before and during their years in office. Joe Lockhart, who served as press secretary and senior advisor to former President Bill Clinton from 1998 to 2000, was the previous owner of the 8,200 square foot mansion in Kalorama that the Obamas are moving into. Before the Obamas purchased the home, Lockhart had owned it. Number 4. The city of Dallas, Texas, according to former President George W. Bush. According to the Wall Street Journal, former President George W. Bush, who is well known for having a profound affinity for his home state of Texas, purchased a home in the Dallas suburb of Preston Hollow with an area of 8,500 square feet and a price tag of many millions of dollars not long before the conclusion of his second term in 2009. According to the Miller Center at the University of Virginia, he and former First Lady Laura Bush integrated themselves into the Dallas neighborhood fairly quickly by participating in local events and holding barbecues at their home. Before relocating to Austin to take up residence in the Texas governor's mansion, the family had previously called Dallas home from 1988 to 1995. According to Zillow, the median price of homes now listed in Preston Hollow is $549,500 or $221 per square foot. This is just a hair above the Dallas average of $189 per square foot. Although the price tag for Bush's property is said to have been fairly substantial, the typical price of properties currently listed in Preston Hollow is far lower. Number 3. The former President of the United States, William J. Clinton, resides in Chappaqua, New York. The Clintons purchased an 11-room home in Chappaqua, New York for a total price of $1.7 million in 1999, not long before President Clinton's term was up. During this time, Hillary Clinton was getting ready to run for a seat in the Senate of the United States. The Dutch colonial house at 15 Old House Lane is white and has a shape that is similar to that of a barn. It is located in a cul-de-sac that is lined with trees. In recent years, it has been conveniently close to Hillary Clinton's campaign headquarters in Brooklyn, making for a quick commute. In addition, there is a swimming pool and 5 separate bedrooms. The appraisers at Trulia believe that the property is currently valued at approximately $2.7 million. In September, the Clintons also purchased a house next door for a total price of $1.16 million. However, it is not yet clear what the Clintons want to do with their new property. Number 2. Former President George W. H. Bush resides in Kennebunkport, New York. Bush's family property was one of the first places he returned to after leaving the White House, even though it cannot be considered a new residence for the former president. After leaving office, he and his wife, the former First Lady Barbara Bush, divided their time between their homes in Houston, Texas and Kennebunkport, Maine. The Bush family has owned land in each of these locations for more than a century. According to the Washington Post, once Jeb Bush announced that he would run for president in 2018, the Bush complex began receiving significantly more attention than it has in the past. As a result, an increased number of tourists flocked to the coastal town to get a sight of the estate. Nevertheless, it is believed that residents in the area keep the precise location of the house quiet out of respect for the family, and the Secret Service guards the residence. The Texas flag is flown whenever George and Barbara Bush are present at the complex, as reported by the Washington Post. The Bush continue to spend 6 months of each year at the estate. Number 1. The former residence of President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, in Bel Air, California. After his term as president ended in 1989, Ronald Reagan settled down in the affluent community of Bel Air in Los Angeles and began his retirement. According to the Los Angeles Times, it was originally acquired for the Reagans by their friends in the late year of 1986 for the price of $2.5 million. After his term as president, Ronald Reagan wrote his memoirs and oversaw the construction of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California, while he was living in the family home. His office suite was located in the neighboring city of Century City, and he spent a lot of time riding horses at the ranch he owned just north of Santa Barbara. According to the Los Angeles Times, billionaire Jerry Perenchio paid $15 million for the approximately 7,200 square foot home that features 17 rooms spread across 2 stories. The transaction took place in July of 2016. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.